Ah, Palworld. It's been a solid minute since I played you, and honestly, everything looks like it's still going just as good as it was before. I remember capturing you on my first run through. Look at all those pals running around. Really reminds me of another game as such. Speaking of which, I'm surprised they haven't actually decided to... Oh,
we're doing this again?
Where's the lamb sauce?
Cut me some slack here, will ya?
oh my god. What the heck?
Ah, Palworld, the game that made the internet collectively point and laugh, realizing they were not messing around, and then witness the monumental rise of the game, with the selling point being Pokemon, but if they were slaves with guns. And if you don't know what Palworld is, welcome back, Grandpa, from your 12-month coma. It's like someone looked at Pokemon and said, yeah, but what if Pikachu had a Glock? And then for some reason, everyone just nodded and said, you know what, Tim? That's why you're getting a promotion. At its peak, Palworld had everyone hooked. But soon after the massive hype train had passed, the game went through the usual after-release effect and lost most of its players. Going from millions to a far more modest 100,000-ish concurring players, which, don't get me wrong, is still great. Like, don't get me wrong, if we were getting that many views per video, I'd be frothing at the mouth. But it was very apparent that the game was definitely being held up by its bizarre concept rather than the gameplay itself. Which leads us to now. As of November of 2024, the game holding itself to about just barely 20 to 30,000 players. Which raises the question, what the hell happened to Palworld?
Good. Man, shut your ass up, nigga. Fuck!
Now, just before we get started, just do a quick check and see if you're subscribed. It would really help the channel out. Thank you. Palworld dropped into our lives like a fever dream back in January, and oh boy, did it deliver. Equal parts adorable and unhinged. And I can relate to one of those things. The game gave players a sprawling open world to explore with hundreds of creatures known as pals. Nintendo, please don't. Nintendo, please don't hit with that hammer, please. So these pals, you had to collect them and train them up. And with this, you'd create meaningful connections,
with retroactively placing them into ethically sourced workstations where they could fulfill meaningful tasks with their fellow pals.
Look, you could bond with your pals and build meaningful connections, but I need pal spheres, and they are gonna make themselves. So get back to it, and don't make me remind you what happens when you don't meet your daily quota. But it wasn't just the memes that made this game so popular. Palworld nailed its gameplay loop, mixing Pokemon with games like Ark and Rust, creating a surprisingly good mix on the respective gameplay elements. The creature design was mostly fantastic. I mean, just look at this massive flame doggo my friend Zach got.
Alright, well, you know what? I'm just gonna get a drink of water real quick.
Yeah, no, The world was vibrant and fun to explore, and the sheer depth of customization in both your pals and the base building kept players entertained. The game had that perfect mix of charm and insanity that made it impossible to look away. And look, this game was an absolute blast to play with your friends. Just look at Zach choosing to play this wonderful game over talking to girls.
We got a new match. Don't fucking care. I want this done. Just let me fucking look at the radar.
You can hang up that computer call.
Oh shit,
Come
not
over here
good.
and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling.
I don't like where this is going.
However, as we move to this retrospective closer to present time, there is one big old problem child in the room, and I'm sure everyone is waiting for it, and that is the sudden incursion of Nintendo. No, not that one. Yeah, that's better. Ah, yes, the moment Nintendo decided to pull their classic fuck you gonna do routine, and stepped in months after we all thought Nintendo were originally gonna sue for the obvious design similarities with their pals, but they have instead decided to sue Pocket Pair for, wait for it, you guys are gonna fucking love this, the game's core mechanic of throwing a ball to capture creatures. Apparently that was somehow infringing on their intellectual property. I'm sorry, but what? Nintendo trying to copyright throwing a ball is like McDonald's trying to copyright deep frying potatoes. You can't seriously be saying this is the precedent that you would like to be setting for the rest of the gaming industry. Activision, I better not be hearing you taking notes over there. Now, let's be clear. Yes, there are obvious similarities between Palworld and Pokemon. For example, Pals look kind of like Pokemon. The capturing mechanics feel Pokemon adjacent. But here's the thing. Palworld is an entirely different beast of its own. Last time I checked, Pikachu wasn't rolling up on Team Rocket with a minigun now, was he? Exactly. Different fucking game. But Nintendo wasn't having it. No, no, no. They claimed that Palworld was infringing on their unique gameplay mechanics, which feels like a stretch. I mean, if you can fucking call that a stretch, Jesus Christ. Like, are they gonna sue every game with a capture mechanic now? Like, what's next? Doing Ark Survival Evolved because they have cryopods? What exactly defines this gameplay pattern that they want to enforce? Where does it end, Nintendo? And just to get this clear, like, capturing in this game is nothing like classic Pokemon. In classic Pokemon, you just have to tap the screen to throw a ball. In Palworld, if I even dare to sneeze, I miss the fucking thing. Am I even just like... Fuck. It's like on top of me, I'm fucking struggling. And the thing is, if this lawsuit goes through, it may never end. Let's imagine for a moment that the lawsuit does end in Nintendo's favor. Not only does that show that they can actually get away with this level of bullying and market control, but that also shows all the other big greedy studios that they can do it too. Imagine a world where only one company could own the legal rights to making a game with the idea of taming animals, building spaceships, exploring space. That's the reality Nintendo is vying for, and it's fucking horrible. And I know this is going to be a bit over the top, but just imagine if someone like Activision claimed FPS games or Creator Class, or if someone like EA claimed all sports games. I know it's a bit over the top, but this is the type of thing that they are trying to cover in this lawsuit. To make matters worse, this lawsuit wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It put Pocket Pair in a tough spot. Pocket Pair, being a relatively smaller studio, doesn't have the kind of money or resources to fight a legal giant like Nintendo. This lawsuit will slow development, drain resources, and put a massive dampener on the game's momentum. And what's even worse is that the actual amount of money they owe is only roughly around, I don't know, $50,000? Which means that if Pocket Pair were to look at this strictly from a business perspective, it would be considered more financially viable for them to give in and take the small loss in exchange for needing to change some gameplay mechanics, rather than fighting a long and lengthy legal battle with a giant like Nintendo, likely costing them tens to hundreds of millions just to possibly win. Let me repeat that again, to maybe even have a chance of winning. And for what? Because Nintendo couldn't handle a little competition? Because they felt threatened by a game that dared to innovate on the formula that they've been milking for decades? Sounds to me like someone's trying to monopolize their market. And if I know anything about law, which is not fucking much at all, that's not very legal, Nintendo. In the end, the lawsuit won't just hurt Pocket Pair. This has the potential to be either a showing that Nintendo can be opposed and actually beaten, or the potential to be the most destructive turning point for gaming since microtransactions. Let's pray that Pocket Pair fights for the good of the gaming industry, for the fate of the fans and developers all rest upon their shoulders.
That wasn't my finest hour.
Now what?
So, where does this leave Palworld? Well, despite the legal battle, the slowed updates, and Nintendo's best attempts to play gatekeeper, the game isn't dead. Far from it, actually. Sure, it might not have the same explosive popularity it had on launch, but Palworld still has a dedicated community of players who stuck around because, let's face it, there's nothing else quite like it. And you know what? The devs at Pocket Pair aren't giving up either. They've been quietly working in the background, dropping updates and improving the game, despite all the bullshit they've had to deal with. It's a testament to their passion and dedication they are still here, keeping this insane little fever dream alive. Despite the odds, Palworld still stands. It's not perfect, but it's still the chaotic, morally questionable sandbox we all fell in love with. And maybe, just maybe, this whole mess will inspire more developers to take risks, to push boundaries, and to tell the Nintendos of the world to sit down and get their heads out of their asses. So here's my message to anyone who loved Palworld but drifted away. Maybe it's time to give it another shot. The game's still there, still evolving, and still as batshit insane as ever. And even if you're like my friend Eden, who thought blowing up his Xbox was a great idea, you can still play this game on last gen, so you don't even have to blow all that money for that new PS5 Pro. And to Pocket Pair, keep fighting the good fight, because if Palworld has taught us anything, it's that sometimes chaos is exactly what this world needs. Anyway, that's all from me. If you've got thoughts on Palworld and the lawsuit or Nintendo being Nintendo, let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into this insanity that is the gaming world. Also, I would like to make a big thank you to everyone who has been watching this channel whenever you did, because we have now just been verified on YouTube. And I just want to say how grateful I am and how grateful everybody else is behind the scenes as well. This is an amazing accomplishment, and I am so grateful for the opportunity that you guys have given us. And I just wanted to say here right at the end of the video that we've actually made memberships on YouTube. Now, I just want to state this really clearly. You do not have to do this, all right? You don't have to at all. We're not asking you to do this. There will be no videos hidden behind a paywall. Our channel is a completely free service, and every kind of what the hell happened video or any video we make will be free to everyone. So do not worry about that at all. We've made these so you guys can talk to us, get in contact with us, similar to the public Discord that we'll have in the link in the description down below. But I thought I'd make these for you guys. If you're interested in some of the things you can get from these memberships, there will be an extra Discord server that is private for members. You might be able to even join us in some games, get some special emojis, highlighted comments and stuff, and faster replies. But again, this is just something that you don't have to be a part of. This is just something I wanted to give to you guys and say a big thank you from me and to everyone else who works here for supporting this channel. So without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you all in the next one.